The questions keep coming. Amity, why did you leave YouTube? And why did you come back? Okay, no one's asking those questions, but I'm gonna answer them anyway because there's quite the story behind it. This year has been far from easy and I was ready to throw in the towel completely, but an incident made me come back. Let's talk about it.
Hey lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amity Gilmour and this is my life. And in this video, I really wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about why I decided to come back on this channel, because as you know, I took quite a bit of the break and was very inconsistent for most of this year. I had something that happened literally a couple of weeks ago that just made me go, nah, I'm doing this. We're gonna talk about it. But first, I'm going out to an appointment. Here's the fit check. Wait, I have to, where am I putting this? I need to like take it down a notch. I sound too much like an Instagram person. Like, oh my gosh, this is blah, blah, blah. I just wanna be myself. I'm trying to be more intentional about being myself and not like every single other person on the internet, because if this is an encouragement to everyone, be yourself. Don't be like, everyone just wants to be Emma Chamberlain or whatever. Same personality, same everything. She's great, but she's great because there's one of her. But there's also only one of you, so be you. Here we go. Appreciation for the dress. Because this dress was $11 from Spotlight, which means I did not buy this dress. I bought the material and I made it myself, which is so cool. This is the best dress I've ever made. Not the best piece of clothing. I still have a piece of clothing that I like better, that I am actually working on I'm working on selling it on my shop soon. So keep your eyes out for that. And I'm really excited about that particular piece because I made the pattern myself. I sewed the pattern myself and did all of that myself. Whereas this, I used a YouTube tutorial. And it's so flowy and it's got a slit. Whoa! Anyway, time to go. Let's go. I just want to talk about something quickly. So I went and got a coffee from this really nice place and I was overhearing the conversation of the guy who worked there. He was talking to this other guy and he was talking about how their business is really struggling because a lot of people buy Uber and they won't come in the store, and like Uber has all these extra costs. And I've heard so many people say this, so I just want to come on here and make everyone aware of that. So if you have time, get yourself out of the house and have a coffee sitting in, because it might make a small business's day. Hey, I'm back home and it is midnight. I've been home for a couple of hours, but I've been doing some work on my laptop because I haven't gotten much work done this week because I've been staying in a friend's house. I had an injection on Tuesday to help with like blood flow to the brain, but it turns out it made things a little bit worse, which I reacted to. And so I've been staying with a friend and I didn't have my computer or anything while I was staying there, so I wasn't able to get work done. I did some work this morning before I left, and then I've been doing some work as I've gotten back. But as you saw, I had dinner out with a friend and then came back home, and now I'm here and it's time to have that discussion. What happened to make me decide to keep continuing on with YouTube? I just want to start by saying it wasn't one thing, it was a couple of things combined. And we're gonna go through the backstory, what those things were, why I'm back. So first off, in order to understand all of this, you have to understand that when I started this channel, it wasn't really meant to be for chronic illness, but it did slowly become about chronic illness after I shared a video for my friends and family when I had 20 subscribers, all who actually personally knew me, sharing about the new condition that I was diagnosed with, that being gastroparesis. It was my way of being able to shoot a video to share with my friends and family so that I didn't have to type the same thing out over and over and over again because everyone was asking me what it was. And that video I was able to just make, share it on my Facebook profile, or refer people to it if they had any questions. That video blew up a little bit, and ever since then I unintentionally became a chronic illness niche kind of channel. That is until a couple of years ago when I made the conscious decision to shift gears a little bit and focus more so on living life to the fullest, and then later rebranding again into music, because that is the one thing that I love, and kind of mixing the music with living life to the fullest and being able to share the fact that you can still go for your dreams even if you are struggling with an illness. So I'm kind of documenting my journey of chasing that dream of being a singer while also struggling with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and all the crazy things that come along with that. This shift was very difficult. It was hard, let's just say that, because I felt like I had been, for lack of a better word, typecasted into the chronic illness community, which I think has a lot going on at the moment online that I'm trying to stay out of. There is, particularly on TikTok, a very massive amount of misinformation going around, particularly about my condition, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, saying things like, if you can do these things, then you automatically have EDS, but that's not the case. So just to clear things up, if you've come and found my channel thinking you might have EDS, people who are double jointed can also do this, and people who are double jointed make up a large proportion of the population. So you most likely just double jointed, unless of course you have other things going on internally, then that's where EDS kind of comes in, I guess. I didn't want to be put in this bubble where everything had to be niched into the chronic illness theme. My illness is something that I struggle with that is really difficult, so I wanted to break out of that, and I struggled to break out of that. I think when breaking out of it though, I wanted to find that happy medium, but when things got really toxic online in this community, I wanted out completely. And I just was really struggling. And this year, 2025, has been the hardest year of my life. There's a lot going on. I'm not going to go into it because I already went into it, I think, last video and the video before that, about all the various different things that's going on in my life. The hardships I've been through this year, combined with the fact that I was not liking what I was seeing online, I just needed a break, and I took that break. Yes, I was posting videos every now and then, but a lot of the time those videos were very sporadic, all over the place. I skipped weeks at a time. I went a month or more without posting a video, and this was because I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I was not in a good headspace mentally, physically, spiritually even at times. It was a very difficult situation that I found myself in this year. Was probably one of the it is the hardest year of my life. And I have been trying to hold on to this channel, and then after a while I just couldn't, and I decided I needed a break. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to come back from that break, and I did. Do I regret going on a break? No, I do not regret it at all. I think I really needed it. I think if I just keep pushing and pushing to put out content, I was going to end up hating this, and I was probably never going to come back ever again. But I almost felt like I couldn't come back until some specific things happened. Now, in order to tell you these specific things, I do need to go into depth a little bit about my health and what's been going on. So my health is at a stage where my doctors cannot securely tell me that what I'm going through is not going to be life-threatening, because we don't know what's going on, and some of the things that I'm going through does show up with quite life-threatening symptoms. It looks like life-threatening symptoms. I'm also having issues with blood flow to organs. There is a lot going on. I'm also having multiple organs that were actually, there were no problems with them, now having problems with them. Organs that weren't an issue, or at least that I didn't know were an issue beforehand. My lungs are also partially collapsing at times and going back. Not the lungs itself, but lung tissue at the bottom. Both bottoms are collapsing inward, but we're still trying to figure it out and we're trying to get on top of it, but it's just a bit difficult. So with all of this happening, there is always that thought in my head, and not just my head, but the head of people around me who are closest to me, who know what's going on. And that thought is, do I have a couple of months left? Do I have a year left? Do I have 5 years, 10 years, another, I don't know, 80 years, or whatever it is? Like, how long do I have left? And that is something that is going around in my mind at the moment. Every time I have quite a severe episode, so if it's severe enough, I will sometimes think, is this the episode where it turns into a stroke? Is this the episode where it's the end? Interestingly enough, when that first became an issue, I was scared. I was freaking out. I thought, I haven't done much with my life yet. I need to do more. Now, after every single time, I think because I'm so tired and I'm so exhausted, when those episodes do come, you know what? If it's meant to be, I know where I'm going. I'm Christian. I believe that there is a beautiful perfection beyond death, that no more pain, every tear wiped away. So there is that peace I have now every time I do have these episodes. At first it was fright and something I was afraid of, and now it's just something I'm so peaceful about, which is, it's still something I have to think about, which is crazy for someone my age, but it's not as scary as it was a couple months ago. So with all this going on in my head, I had my mentor, who's been my mentor since I've been 12. We were on the phone and he sent me, he was talking about it, and he ended up sending me this letter on email talking about if things are to come to an end in the next year or so, which again, I'm hoping that's not the case, but it's not off the cards and I have to be prepared for that. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. There's still a large chance it won't be the next 2 years, but there's a chance, quite a more significant chance than most people my age, that it could be the next 2 years. And the letter basically talked about being prepared with all the logistics of things, but then also allowing God to use the suffering that you're going through in order to glorify Him. I read the letter and there was that suggestion to suffer well, and I thought about it, and part of me was thinking, well, I've been able to touch so many people's lives with this channel. My favorite type of comments is when people tell me that because of this channel, they've been able to be encouraged in whatever way it is, whether they're encouraged to continue the things they love to do, regardless of their illness, whether they're encouraged to take up and keep going with their dreams, whatever that be, whether it be music or something else like sports. I feel really encouraged when people say they're encouraged in their faith. I feel really encouraged when people say they're curious to look more into faith and God and who He is. These are the types of things that I realize my channel has an impact on, and I realize that to suffer well is so important. Do I think I was wrong to take a break? No, not at all. But do I think I was right to come back? Yes. And the reason I think it was right to come back when I was ready in my own time, which I am ready now, and it was my own timing, well, God's timing really. I came back and I'm grateful for that. I think everything in its timing. So that's the first instance that happened. But there is a very particular incident that happened that made me realize, after I'd only just come back to doing YouTube videos, that this is something I want to continue. As you guys saw 2 videos ago, I went up to Gilmour, and while I was up there for a leaders meeting for a camp that I'm a part of every year, I had another episode. I had to go into the local hospital, which is the very hospital where I was actually born, interestingly enough, and get checked out. So me and this same mentor that I was talking about, we go to the hospital and I go in to go get checked out and he stays in the waiting room. And we just do the whole neurological stuff, lights in eyes and pushing and pulling and all that kinds of, and holding and squeezing and whatever, and checking motor function or whatever it is. And then the doctor says, I'm gonna go check on one of my seniors, see what he thinks. If you want, if it's right, can you go to the waiting room? I'm like, yeah, sure. So as I'm walking back into the waiting room, I hear Pete, my mentor, just talking at the top of his lungs, just loud. He's a farmer, so he's like, they just talk to everyone. They're just loud. That's what farmers do. They're just overly friendly. It's great. It's wonderful. And it's literally what I grew up with my grandpa and with him as well. I love it. It's just so country. I miss that sort of thing. And I walk in and he's talking to this lady and he goes to introduce me and says, hello, this is Amity. And the lady says, oh yes, I know. Hello, Amity. And I was saying, oh, hello. She's like, yeah, I know Amity. And I kind of thought, oh. Anyway, and then they continue talking and I'm thinking, how do I know this lady? I don't remember her. I don't know her. I'm not quite sure how she knows me, but I just let the conversation keep going between the two and I was just listening. And then it kind of was like, no, really? I was like, it was getting me. I need to know. And so I was like, oh, so did Pete tell you about me? And she said no. I was like, oh. I was a little bit confused, but they kept talking. And then I was like, oh, so sorry, do you know my mom? Because I know she went to uni here. And she said, no, I don't know your mom. I was, oh. And then she says, I should probably come clean about how I know you. And I was like, oh. And she said, I have a 16-year-old daughter who is very unwell and who has been really struggling. And through an acquaintance, we found your channel and everything. And it's been a massive encouragement to us and my 16-year-old daughter. So that was really encouraging to hear. And it's funny because Pete, who's my mentor, had said it's like what we're talking about, because he had mentioned that he had known other people that have been impacted by talks that I'd done in the past and stuff, people that I don't know. And he had mentioned that in the letter and he was like, see, you never know. And I think the beauty of it all was I realized that this channel has been able to encourage so many people that I don't even know. I don't even know how many people watch I know I've got the view counts and everything, but I don't know how many people are actually actively watching my channel all the time. I don't know the individuals unless they comment, and not everyone comments, and that's fine, totally fine. But to think there are people out there that I don't even know who they are and they could be able to be touched by this channel in some way, and I find that very encouraging. And I realized that I need to keep doing this. This is something I still need to keep doing. And it was really an encouragement because I'd only just come back to do videos and I still wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do. And I think that was almost like confirmation that no, this is okay. It's really difficult sometimes to put yourself out on the internet. It seems all fun and games and everything, but there are a lot of insecurities I have about putting a lot of this stuff out on the internet. And those insecurities really got to me this year, especially with how hard everything has been and the toll it took on my mental health. And so my mental health wasn't doing so well, so a lot of my insecurities just popped out again out of nowhere. And it was really hard. It was really difficult. But I took that break. I knew I needed that break. And now I'm back and I still wasn't too sure, and now I am so much more encouraged because of that. And it reminds me of a comment that was made earlier this year. I had someone who I was helping out working with on a project a couple of years ago who had told me that don't stop doing it, because a lot of people need to hear that. And I think hearing the encouragement that not just my channel has been able to have on people, but also my music as well. I have some people, some friends who I haven't seen for ages who I've recently been in contact with, and just hearing the stories from everything is an encouragement that I really needed this year. This year's been terrible, but to think that God has still been able to use this situation has been a really encouragement. And I think to see how people have been touched by this. When I was 14, I used to pray a lot that God use me for glory. I thought he would use my strengths. I thought he would use the things that made me strong, but he didn't. He actually ended up using my biggest weakness. A weakness I didn't even know I was living with back then, because I was living with this condition my whole life and had no idea until I was 21. And it's funny because we often think God's going to use our strengths, but our strength is nothing. And he does not use our strengths that much. He uses our weaknesses far more, because when we are weak, then he is strong. His power is made strong in our weakness. And I think in such a broken world, with so much going on, especially this week that I'm filming, there has been a lot in this world that has gone horribly wrong. And I think people don't want to hear that. They don't want to get advice from someone who's not willing to admit their weaknesses or admit that they don't have it all together, because people know that this world is broken and people are done with the perfection, the fake perfection, and people want to be encouraged by people who know what it's like, who have been where they've been. And there are some things that I can speak on that other people can't speak on. And there are some things that other people can speak on that I can't speak on because I haven't been there. There are types of suffering that I haven't experienced, so I can't speak on that, but other people have, and they're able to speak on it and touch people in ways that the people who haven't experienced it can't. And that's something that I've found myself with. It was some of the people around me, particularly who are going through health crises at the moment. There is so much being said to them about what to do. Just have more faith, just pray, just all this. But it means nothing coming from someone who is just rambling on for the sake of it and has no experience backed behind it. And it doesn't just mean nothing. It's met with almost offense, because it is offensive at times when people want to try and give you advice like they know what's going on when they don't. And so it's interesting because God knows that people don't want to be encouraged and hear from people who haven't been where they've been, because they won't understand. And that is why God uses our weaknesses to touch those who have the same weaknesses that we do. The last and final reason that I came back, and that has encouraged me coming back, is you guys, is everyone on this channel. The comments that are left that I read, the messages, the DMs, the stories that I hear from other people in the way that this channel has been able to provide hope is really what I am encouraged by. If I have people who's able to take away that encouragement from this channel, then I feel like so encouraged. If I never get to the 5,000 subscriber mark, but yet the subscribers that I have right now, I'm able to help them in some way. The 1.9, almost 2,000 subscribers that I have, if I'm able to encourage even just one of them, then who cares about subscriber counts? Who cares about views? Who cares about all these things? Because that's not what it means. That's not what this means to me. I'll keep showing up, I'll keep doing this, even if it's just you guys, because you guys are worth it. And it's been a really rough year, but I think I've learned so much, and I think it's been a year where I've really had to choose what I believe, and I've had to choose it knowing that it's tough and it's hard. And it's been a really difficult year, but I'm still going and I'm still doing what I can, and not in my own strength, because I have found this year that my own strength is bollocks. So anyway, that's my video for this week. I hope you're encouraged by it. And if you feel like your weaknesses are a roadblock for you, just remember that to God, your weaknesses are the very thing that He is looking at, thinking, you are going to touch so many people with that, and I can do so much with that. And I think that is so incredible, and I think it's so encouraging. So be encouraged by that. Be encouraged that your weaknesses can touch those who have been there, because you've been there and other people haven't. So you can speak into that while others can't. Alright, I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm completely losing my voice. This has been a thing for the last couple of months. Anyway, love you guys. God bless.
Sometimes we cry.